Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Warman, Esquire. On today's show, it's a little bit of a slow week. The NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs are not quite underway, so we won't have that to talk about this week. But our Kansas City Royals are off to a good start, so we'll start today's show with that. Royals are now 11-6, briefly touched off the league lead in the AL for best record. Currently the best run differential in the league. We are 17 games into the season, Mike. Is that enough for you to think that this is a real deal, real challenger of a team this year?
Yeah, I think they're going to be in the playoff mix simply because of the division that they're in. Also, maybe because the Twins and the Guardians have had a little bit of injury uh, misfortune plaguing them already. Again, this could all change if the Royals have some of those as well. But the pitching staff has been good. I don't know if they'll be this good the whole season, but
No.
I think Reagan seems to be the real deal. I think Singer maybe is figuring it out. Lugo has been really, really good. Um, Waka and has been okay, and even the fifth.
Yeah,
Uh, who's the fifth starter?
as Marsh.
Yeah, Alec Marsh has been pretty good. At least solid for a fifth starter, especially.
Yeah, he's had a couple
So
like shaky first innings, but it's like managed to settle down and get enough innings in to like not tax the bullpen too much.
yeah, and the bullpen had some shakiness, but has settled mostly. Had a long scoreless streak for a while. Uh,
Yeah,
they didn't do so well against them in that one game against the Mets. The Royals lost 2-1, where it was that league kind of ruined a great Reagan's start. It seems like Reagan's doesn't have any wins yet on the year. When he starts, it seems like the Royals lose after he goes out. But yeah, the Royals have been really good. I think we've experienced probably more than 10% of the season now. And I think the Royals have actually played some good teams. They played the White Sox quite a bit, who aren't very good. They got rained out today, but they'll have a doubleheader on Wednesday against Chicago. So if they can, win those, that'll be a two series sweep of Chicago, which would, racking up wins against bad teams is a good thing to do, and kind of holding your own against good teams is also good. So yeah, I think
yeah.
even
Well,
like
that's a playoff model right there, right?
yeah,
Hold your own against the best teams, beat up on the weakest ones. Yeah, you
and
should be sniffing the playoffs if you can do that for the whole year.
yeah, and the offense has been good, has been okay. Hasn't been great every game, but the pitching's been good, so they've been kind of lifting each other up. Um, it seems like Michael Garcia was really hot starting the season, but he's kind of cooled off. Whereas Pasquantino was really cold at the beginning, but he's heated up.
On
It,
fire the last week,
so it
hitting
seems
like
like
around 500 with a couple home runs and like
yeah.
10
So
RBIs in the last 5 games, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and Witt has been good kind of all the way through. Salvi's had a good opening. Velasquez has been uh really solid too.
It looks
Melendez
like
is
Sal
okay.
may have avoided an injury too, because he did come out of the last game
Yeah, he had a
with a
groin
groin hip
injury.
injury on a collision at the plate, but he says he's ready and he's planning on playing the next game apparently too. So
Yeah, probably he'll probably play probably only one of those double headers
yeah,
at catcher anyway. Maybe he'll DH the other one. Um, but yeah, so it's been a great start. I think it's sustainable mostly. I think the pitching will probably be not quite as good, but I think you could say the line. I think the lineup will be just as good, or maybe in some cases maybe more consistent. But Frazier and Hampson and have played all right too.
and Massey is close to coming back. He's played the last week at AAA and been hitting over 400 apparently. So is
Yeah, uh,
should be an improvement at second base too.
and Renfro has started to do better as well. So it seems like
Mhm.
every uh position player has been okay, at least in certain stretches. So the
Hmm.
Royals as a team haven't gone cold, at least for more than a game or two. Um, yeah, so it's been, yeah, I think the Royals can, I think Fangraphs has the Royals now at their projection is 81 and 81, which I think the other teams in the division are very close to that. Uh, so that's, very close to a playoff team. And I think the Royals are the team, one of the most surprising teams this year. It seems like the Yankees have gotten off to a good start, but people thought they'd be pretty good, maybe not as good as they were. The Pirates in the NL have gotten off to a pretty good start, so that's uh, been good for one of my bets as well. Our Royals bets looks like right now we were on the wrong side of the over under. It's still early in the season. They could still
Yeah. I
swoon.
think I think that's how we want it to be though, right? I mean, we want to be wrong on that bet. Like
Mhm.
even though we took an under, it's because we're like, yeah, saving some of our expectation, I think, right? Trying to moderate that, not be too confident.
Yeah, I guess one thing you might, this is something maybe that worries you, Andrew, is that the managing maybe still is still has left something to be desired with the bullpen, especially. I think uh the game against the final game of the series against the Mets where they lost 2-1. Um, maybe that game wasn't the pitching staff at the end of that game wasn't handled very well. What do you think of Quattro's job handling the bullpen so far?
I mean, for the most part, it's been pretty terrible. But I think the one thing that I would say first, maybe is the good thing that he's done is it seems as though MacArthur has taken over as the closer. So I think in every opportunity um since he took the spot from Will Smith, he has been in the closing situation except for once, which was the day after that happened. So every save opportunity since then has gone to MacArthur, which seems to be the right choice. Like you'd rather have your young guy that's probably there on the team for a long time, be in the premier role if you can have that. Otherwise, though, it does seem like he still has these like tendencies that just like whatever his gut feeling is the guy he goes to regardless of anything else. Like he went to Stratton in the game that you just mentioned. He went to Stratton who hadn't
Yeah.
pitched in 8 days, and for some reason they decided to put him in the eighth inning of the game. Like they could have put him in the seventh inning with the leverage is slightly lower. It was against a different part of the lineup, but still, like if you think he's a good reliever, then you can throw him into whatever. But if you haven't pitched in 8 days, maybe he's a little rusty, and he did walk 4 batters, so then it turned
Mhm.
out terribly. Um, that's not so great. But I think the game before he'd gone to Matt Sauer in a higher leverage situation than necessary, probably could have used Stratton in that one and then gone to Sauer in a different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of those things just don't really make sense. And
Yeah,
some
I
of the
think
lineups, I think the game that they won against the Mets, the lineup was arguably idiotic. So it was like wholesale changes made at multiple positions all on the same day for like no reason really. It was, the second baseman, catcher, center fielder, left fielder, DH, all got days off on the same day. I don't know why you would ever do that.
yeah, it's a little bit strange, I think, but I think because the starting pitching has been so good, some of those uh mistakes are covered up, and it's hard.
Exactly.
If you have a good rotation, it's hard to mess that up because you know it's a five, you know who's going to pitch each day.
Right.
Maybe it's a question of when do you take the starter out, or do you take the starter out depending on how well they're pitching. But I think just having a good rotation, which was what it seems like what the Royals have this year, it just this is the first time really that the Royals have had a really solid. I don't know. Maybe this could be the first time in recent memory that the Royals have had a solid rotation one to five.
Yeah.
Even when the Royals were doing really well 8 9 years ago, it was the bullpen that was the key, and it was just basically if the starters could pitch 5 innings. James
or
Shields.
maybe 5 innings.
Yeah, James Shields was pretty good, and some of the other guys were pretty, or John Cueto when he was there for a little while was excellent, but like it was mostly a bullpen centric
Yeah.
team.
Like
Ventura was,
Chris Young was a big piece of the rotation, and he was kind
yeah,
of like sort of
Jeremy Guthrie
holding
and
the team together, right? Like,
yeah, people like that. Um, so it was, yeah, it was a bullpen, uh, like kind of it was kind of rebuilt in a reverse way from what you traditionally want your pitching staff to be. What you want to really be solid in the rotation, and then your pitchers that aren't quite as good maybe are going to be in the bullpen, and because they're pitching shorter and in different specific situations, they'll be effective uh, as well. But it's been really interesting to watch this year and see, what this is like. I guess, it's been since probably the 80s that the Royals have had a really, at least I can think of it, or maybe early 90s with Apier and Gupazov still around, have had a really solid rotation.
yeah.
And I don't
Well,
know.
and then actually have that translate to wins early, even, which is even
Mhm.
kind of more surprising.
Yeah, we'll
I think
see
at
how it.
times they've had decent rotations, but they didn't translate to actual like wins at good clip,
Yeah,
at least anyway. But they're
yeah.
also they are scoring runs. I think they're second in the AL in runs scored, first in the AL in runs allowed. So that's a great combination to have as a manager
Mhm.
to lean on for you know, covering up mistakes like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's one of those things where run differential has been, sometimes you can tell if a team's for real or not by looking at the run differential, and the run differential has been really good. So, they've had a couple of big blowout wins, maybe that have skewed it. But
5 games where they scored 10 runs or more, which is not
yeah,
something the Royals tended to do in previous seasons.
yeah. So they've had a great bit of success so far, and they have, like you said, they maybe have left a few games on the table as well. So they haven't, I don't know. I think they've given a couple more games away than they've stolen, I think, uh, it, this season. There may be yeah, maybe that happens, but hopefully that evens out as the season goes on. There's as many games where they probably didn't deserve to win that they win, and games that they should have won that they lose. But I think it seems like there's, out of the 11-6, maybe out of the 6 losses, at least maybe 3 of them were games that they probably uh, should have won. So
Yeah, just on decision making, after the lineup cards have been handed in, right? So
yeah.
you tend to not have that many decisions to make, and you know, you got to make them count.
Have you been into any games since opening day?
I haven't been seeing since opening game, but I may go Friday this week, I think. So I'm not sure if I will or not. That's the plan, is that I'm gonna try to go on Friday.
Who do they play on Friday night?
I don't even know, Mike.
So you
Who
got the
do they
Royals.
play, right? So they will have coming up next. They got, yeah, these last 2 games against the White Sox, and then the Orioles are coming to town for three
The
games.
Orioles.
Friday through Sunday.
They played the Orioles earlier. They were in all 3 of those games. Maybe you could have said they could have won all 3 of those games that they lost again. They lost two out of 3 to the Orioles. They could have won. I would say they probably should have won at least one of
Should
those.
have won
One of
one
those
of those,
two.
and they could have won the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The last game against the Orioles, the one they lost, or the first, the one they lost 4-3. Was it the first one?
that was the last game of the series. The first game was the one that they were behind the whole game. They came back and tied it, and then immediately
Mhm.
gave up runs to lose
That's
it
right. That's right.
in the bottom of the ninth. And then the other game, they had the lead, and I think Will Smith botched the save, and then that's what led to MacArthur taking over the
Yes. Yes.
closer job uh, in the next series.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the teams that playoff teams or near playoff teams, and they're, like you said, holding their own against those teams. beating up on the poor, hapless White Sox. Last year, they couldn't even beat up on any of the bad teams because they were one of the worst teams. Like, yeah, I think they were actually when they played the A's last year, the team that everybody was beating. I think they lost the series to the A's
They
pretty
did.
lopsidedly.
Yeah. I think they got swept in the first
Yeah, I
series.
think they maybe won 1 out of 6 games or something like that. It was pretty bad. So so it's good to see that the Royals again, even if they lose one or both of the doubleheader games, they're still, you know, above 500, and I think looking like a contending team. They're not in the AL East, they're not in the AL West, so they're in a division where, you know, the Twins were seen as the best team, and maybe the former Indians, now the Guardians are. I still have a hard time saying Guardians.
It doesn't seem natural, at least anyway.
Yeah, it seems like an expansion team. I think it's
Well, I think we still both occasionally will say about the San Diego Chargers instead of
San
the
Diego. I still
Los
think of the
Angeles
Chargers. There,
Chargers. It's
the Oakland Raiders.
those things that are ingrained into your like
Mhm.
childhood, basically, and then all of a sudden it changes dramatically as an
Yeah.
adult. Then yeah, it's hard to make those changes on the fly anyway, isn't it?
And are they still the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? Is that still the official
I think
the
technically
Angels?
they're always just listed as the Los Angeles Angels in the standings, at least anyway. But I think the technical team name is the full. Because somehow the Los Angeles name is supposed to draw more attention to the team and maybe have a better like marketing appeal
Oh, I
affiliated
see.
with
So
the
they're
LA.
they're still technically Los Angeles Angels. They're Los Angeles Angels now, technically. I was reading on Wikipedia. So
They
they
have
were
dropped the of Anaheim.
yes. So when we were kids, of course, they were the California Angels
Yes.
from 1965 to 1996, California Angels. Then the Anaheim Angels from 1997 to 2004. But then they became the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim from 2005 to 2015. And now Los Angeles Angels is all they need. There was a lease agreement with Anaheim that they required their city to be
Oh,
for a while. I think the California Angels is still good. I think California adds as much as Los Angeles does,
is
especially.
I mean it's actually in Anaheim though, isn't it? The team
Yeah,
actually.
I think the stadium's in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Angels.
So is Anaheim part of LA's like greater statistical area?
Yeah, it's in
Uh,
Orange County, which is the
yeah.
suburban Los Angeles. It's right, where Disneyland is, and yeah,
I actually didn't know it was that close to LA or technically. I mean,
yeah,
it's its own name. It's not a suburb of LA, right? But it's close enough to LA that it's part of the same
it's part
greater.
of it. I would say it's suburban Los Angeles is
Okay.
Anaheim. I think yeah, yeah. If you look at the map, it's part of Orange County, which is next to Los Angeles County. Um, yeah,
I've
but
not spent much time in California, so
okay, yeah, it's a little bit at southwest of Los Angeles proper. I mean, southeast of Los Angeles proper. Um,
not on the coast.
no, little inland. Um, a little bit inland. I'm actually going to Anaheim for a conference in May, so it's yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So I'll be there. Yeah, Anaheim. It is close to really adjoining almost Los Angeles. It's a little bit far. It's yeah, southeast of Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, I'm not. I can't remember which parts uh of LA are actually their own cities, or which are just kind of neighborhoods of Los Angeles that are named. You know, uh,
Yeah.
so but yeah, it's a short drive down the I-5, as they call it out there, the I-5, rather than just I-5. Uh, it's the five. You take the five,
Yes.
get to Anaheim. Um,
Like the Californian sketch on
the
Carol.
Californians, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get off at La Cienega and turn right on Ventura Boulevard. And yeah.
I
I
suppose
guess
they're
they,
just naming the routes of how you would get from place
I
to
guess
place.
they get. Yeah, I don't know if they do. Californians do that a lot? Do they refer to? I don't know. I
My
guess.
my brief stay there for conference in California was a bit like that. But it was just me doing the Californians impersonation while I was at my conference, and no one else thought it was funny. That's
Speaking of California, speaking of SNL, did you see the Beavis and Butthead sketch that they had this weekend?
yes,
Did
that
you
was
find that?
excellent. Yes,
Find that funny?
yeah. I just like the breaking character.
Like when
I think it's funny, at least anyway.
Ryan
When
Gosling was laughing the whole time, and it seems like everybody else was laughing the whole time during that one. But
yeah, well, I thought it was great because was it Heidi
Heidi
Gardner?
Gardner
Yeah,
from Kansas City
yeah,
native.
that's right. But she apparently had not seen the final costume design and the whole look. So she broke character immediately. And she's usually does not break character, so that was,
Yeah.
you know, a win, I guess, for the costume designer. That's funny.
Yeah.
That was funny.
That was pretty good.
Well, the whole episode was actually pretty decent. Even did you
I
watch?
didn't. I only saw that one.
Ah,
That was the one that I saw.
yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it. I haven't watched a full episode of SNL for I'd say several years probably.
Caitlin Clark made a brief appearance on the weekend update segment.
Number one overall WNBA draft pick,
Not
Caitlin.
not at that time, but then shortly thereafter became the number one. Do you like how the WNBA does the draft that close to the tournament, NCAA tournament?
I guess so. Like it's. I guess it makes sense for when their season starts too, because they start in the. I think it's more of it's a summer league mainly, I think.
Yeah.
So they need to get it done, but they also need to probably wait until after the things are over. So I think that's probably smart because especially this year because the women's NCAA tournament was so popular that some of the big stars of that tournament are now transitioning to the WNBA, so that'll maybe help that league uh, do better. And
Did you notice that one team got two like big of the taller stars from the tournament? It was Cardoza and Angel Reese. I think got drafted by the same team.
yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, at least anyway. So yeah, do you think the pair of players drafted that high is more important than a single player, like Caitlin Clark being drafted somewhere?
Yeah, Cardoso went to Chicago. Sky said at Angel Reese. She went number seven.
Yeah.
Cardoso went number three. Uh, so the Sky had two of the first seven picks there are, and
I thought that was kind of interesting that the same team got like two of those, like, that's basically like creating like a twin tower sort of scenario, right? Like in
yeah,
the Spurs had in the 90s.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, with Tim
But they're
and
both
Dave
the same
Robinson.
age though. Not one older guy, one younger tower, right? It's yeah, two first year players. That should be an interesting team, at least, anyway, wouldn't you think?
Yes, it should be.
No.
Yeah, I think so. Now they have their. I was just reading about the Sky and their history. Um, Longtime stalwart of the Sky, Courtney Vandersloot is no longer on the Sky.
Hmm.
She was last year. She was playing with the New York Liberty, but I was just apparently she plays for the Hungarian national team.
Hmm.
She decided
With
to,
Vandersloot, you
yeah, it's
like
not a
a
Hungarian.
Norwegian team, maybe, right? Is that?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. Her She got married to one of her teammates who was also a naturalized Hungarian,
Ah.
Ali Quigley. So they both became Hungarian national team players. In the regular NBA, you don't see a lot. You don't get a lot of the players marrying each other, and then
Yeah.
joining some European national team that aren't if they aren't from the European teams. But it's something that happens, I guess, in the WNBA.
Huh.
But um, yeah,
It's just not been, at least hasn't been public anyway in India,
yeah,
if that's happened.
that's right.
We
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, we don't know. But yeah, the Chicago Sky got I think three of the top 13 picks.
Wow.
Um, so and yeah, I think the Indiana got two Iowa players. I think Iowa. I thought there were two Iowa players that were going to Indiana.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was yeah, one of Caitlin Clark's teammates I think was there. I just saw a clip of the she was there to support Clark and then was also drafted. That wasn't I don't think she was
but she wasn't drafted by Indiana. She was drafted by the Aces of Las Vegas. I thought
oh,
I
she was
thought
on the team. Okay.
she was selected from the audience. I see what. Okay,
Yeah,
I was.
that was so the clip of that was interesting because I don't know that she was expected to be drafted and
Mhm.
wasn't there on the stage. So she was but she was there in attendance.
Yeah, so sort of Price is Right style.
Yeah, it ended up being that way. So it was a nice
Come
moment,
on
I think, for
down.
the team that was there to support Caitlin Clark. That's kind of cool.
Is the Price is Right still on?
Yeah, it's not. It's
With
hosted by Drew Carey, right?
Carey still? Is he still the host of the
I
Price is
think
Right?
so.
Yeah, isn't
As far as I know, unless something's changed recently.
Drew Carey has a beard now. I-
Yes.
He's skinny and has a beard.
No, not exactly what you'd have expected, right?
No, no, he's well, maybe not as skinny as he was. He's skinnier than he was, but then he's not as skinny as he used to be. He's I guess he's kind of just like a normal weight now, but not that he was that heavy to begin with. But I tend to mistrust people that were very heavy and then get really skinny, um, because I think they lose their comedic chops.
Yeah. So their humor is derived from their heft, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think Rebel Wilson maybe is a case study. Um, Not she's skinny.
Jonah
Um,
Hill.
Jonah Hill, definitely. Yeah. Um, Even Seth Rogen's got kind of skinny too. I think it's
Yeah.
and like when they bulk up and like become muscular for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I wasn't
maybe just
never
be
that
healthy.
big of a fan of Seth Rogen, but like the most recent series that I saw of his was pretty entertaining. And he's much thinner in that. But I don't know.
Yeah, so I always think of Al Roker or Al Sharpton, when they get,
Yeah.
they got really skinny. It's something is lost. I'm sure they're healthier and maybe happier, but as for me as a third party, uh, I find
You
it
derive less enjoyment
I derive less enjoyment
from them being happy and pleasant.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
Skinny John Goodman is a little bit like that too. Uh,
Yeah.
it,
It
they
just seems strange, really,
It
right?
seems strange. They seem maybe sicklier as well, rather than just healthier to me. Uh,
Yeah.
just
Maybe you're concerned that something has happened to them, like
Yeah,
health wise, and
maybe it's a
they've like
glandular condition that they're suffering from,
yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, I have yeah, I sometimes worry about,
yeah.
you know, but speaking of worry and Hollywood, have you heard about the new Naked Gun uh, reboot that's happening with I assume Liam Neeson as Sergeant Frank Drebin or some other Sergeant Frank Drebin-esque character, replacing the late Leslie Nielsen, and apparently Pamela Anderson has signed on to be some role in the new Naked uh, Gun franchise. Um, do you think Liam Neeson can pull off Frank Drebin if he's asked to do so?
I really have no idea on this. It seems like Leslie Nielsen's one of those character actor types that you should not try to emulate. So if he tries to do like a Leslie Nielsen impersonation, I don't think it's going to be very funny. But
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen was because he had that kind of um old Hollywood kind of actor
yeah,
look, and he had the very serious delivery, and
well, he
but it
was a
was,
very serious actor,
yeah,
and then he found comedy late in his career.
it's a little like, well, until Alec Baldwin shot the guy. I was a little bit like Alec Baldwin. And then when Alec Baldwin went, like when he was in 30 Rock, you know, he had that deadpan kind of
Yes,
delivery. But then when he was in
he was
other
great in
movies,
that.
but he was trying to be like non-comedic in like The Aviator um or The Departed, you know, those sorts of movies. I couldn't quite take him seriously as a
Yeah,
dramatic actor anymore. He had become Leslie Nielsen.
yes.
Um and hopefully he gets on stage or on the screen again. He's got it. I don't know.
So
I've
so now, if you go back and watch like Hunt for Red October, do you not believe him now?
the old ones. Well,
Yes, or do you see them as like different phases of the career? And it's like you can believe rewatching an old movie where he was serious is fine, but a new something that he's in when he's serious is not fine because of that comedy stretch in the middle.
maybe it's also, I think I liked his younger, maybe I can take more seriously, but also he got a little heavier as he got older, and maybe
Yeah.
that made him more comedic. Just like we're talking about the
Oh yeah.
comedy guys are the heftier you are, I think the funnier you might be. And he was, I think, he seems he's got that kind of gravelly kind of sort of gravitas in his
Yeah.
voice, and I think it plays funnier the older he gets. I think I never thought of him as being a great actor. Um, I think he's very good at comedic acting, but I never thought of him as a great dramatic actor.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was never a huge fan of Hunt for Red October. I thought that was kind of a boring movie. Maybe it's just because I saw it when I was
I
a
like
kid.
that.
Never. I liked some of the other Jack Ryan stuff, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I think I liked the Harrison Ford ones better.
Sure.
Uh, but
It's
yeah,
hard to argue with the Harrison Ford ones though too. It's yeah.
yeah.
Who was the better version of that or whatever. Yeah.
And get Ben Affleck later, and Chris Pine and John Krasinski. Have you seen the series?
Yeah. Yeah, the series, I think the first season of that was really good.
I thought the first and second were both pretty good. The third one and the fourth
Third
one,
one was kind of shaky, I think.
I
And
got lost. I got bored for the fourth one. I need to go back and rewatch it. I was kind of doing other
yeah.
things while most of it
The,
was happening.
the first season of that was really, really good though. Like it was
I like the first one quite a bit. I
yeah.
like the second one too, but then the third one, I didn't. It took so long between the second and the third series to come out, and then the
Yeah.
fourth one seemed like it came out right after the third one was done, and
Yeah.
they never quite got um, to it. But speaking of so speaking of Liam Neeson, also I think he has that kind of gravelly, serious voice that maybe could play
Yeah.
uh, for comedy.
He's done kind of some of the deadpan comedy as like little sketches on Colbert's The Late Show a few times that have been entertaining.
And
But
he's
it's
been,
very
yeah,
serious, but it's funny because of how serious he plays it. So if he plays it really like that, then I don't know. But I think if he tries to do a Leslie Nielsen impersonation, I'm not looking forward to it.
he's
If
been
he
good on
kind of
Saturday
does
Night
something
Live as
adjacent,
well.
then I
Yeah,
think it could be entertaining. At least. I think he's capable of being funny though. That's
yeah,
I'm not trying
yeah,
to say that.
I don't, yeah, I like I'm usually not a fan of reboots. I'm usually more a fan of um I'm not, this is maybe an unpopular position, but I kind of like sequels of the movies. I like the Naked Gun sequels maybe better than I like two, maybe two and a half is probably my favorite of the Naked Guns.
Yeah,
I like the first one, and I like the 33 and a third as well. But I think 2.5 is my favorite of those. But speaking of again, who do you think is going to play the O.J. Simpson role in the?
Yeah, are they going to go with another athlete turned actor,
Who
like a
will eventually
straight
kill
man type or
who
something?
will kill
Or
somebody? Yeah.
yeah, will they have to make
Uh,
the King of England
like,
character instead of the Queen of England as the target of the
yeah.
assassination attempt?
Yes. Or yeah, the president,
Yes.
Meinheimer. Maybe he could have, I don't, because the Zuckers who did the Naked Gun, they became fairly right wing politically, so they probably would have,
Yeah.
yeah, uh did, I think, in some of their movies, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't, it's a different team doing it, so I don't know if they could have that quite that humor as the original ones either. So but we'll see.
Oh, it
Uh,
looks like Seth MacFarlane is one of the writers for the new show. Looks like he may be the primary story writer,
okay,
who is an experienced comedy person and tends
that's
to
true.
aim at something that is funny anyway. So
Yes, I guess something related. Did you see the new Fletch? I haven't seen the
I didn't see New
John
Flesh.
Hamm. Did you see
Ha-
that one?
Have you? I did not see it. Have you seen it or
No, I haven't seen it. So
who? Yeah, who was it? Was it?
because John Hamm was
Oh,
Fletch.
John. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Um, and
John Hamm can do some comedy though too, but it doesn't seem like I don't know. There are certain roles like for that I would don't think need to be remade. Like the
yeah,
Fletch sort of thing was Chevy Chase, and I don't know that.
confess Fletch. That's what it was
Oh,
called.
did it
And
have good reviews?
it was 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's pretty good.
Wait, 64 on Metacritic. So not too bad. It also had John Slattery in it, Roger Sterling from Mad Men. So there was sort of a mini Mad Men reunion. Oh, yeah, try to watch that if it's on anywhere between especially at least between now and the Naked Gun. They also remade Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal instead of Patrick Swayze. I haven't seen, but it's one
Didn't
of those
see
movies I
it.
don't think needed to be remade. A little
Yeah,
bit like that that pointless Point Break remake that they had. Do you remember that? Did you remember the remake of that?
I actually have never seen the original one. Like,
It's stupid. It's even dumber in some ways than Roadhouse.
yeah,
But it's also kind of silly because it's got Swayze in it, being Swayze, but it's also got Keanu Reeves, who
yeah. And I
uh
watched a lot. I've seen a lot of Keanu Reeves movies, and I've never seen Point Break though.
mm, yeah, well, you should watch it.
Yeah.
It's um and MJ likes Point Break, but I didn't find it as good as Roadhouse. It wasn't as delightfully bad as Roadhouse to me. It was just I don't know. It was stupid. It had the very far-fetched like skydiving scenes and things like that that were really dumb.
Hmm.
But yeah, I preferred Roadhouse to of the bad Swayzes. But anyway, are there any other remakes that you're
What do you think about Americanizing versions of like British shows? How do you think that? What do you think of that kind of thing, at least? Like,
It works sometimes. I think the Office Americanized version is because partly because there were so many more episodes was better than the British because it was able to explore a lot more. You don't have
Mhm.
just 12 or 13 episodes or whatever the English one, which was funny. And I guess they get credit
Yeah,
for being the first to do it. But I think there was something to be said about the American version that really if you can write 200 episodes or something of something that's maybe more of it that and you have a lot of those being really funny is I think more of an achievement maybe sometimes than just being the auteur of 12 of them like Ricky Gervais was. But there are a couple other shows I think that were based on British sitcoms that have done well, but it seems like most of the ones in the United States they fail. They aren't as they don't do so well. Like there have been like multiple kind of Faulty Towers uh
Sort of attempts
attempts.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
Like they tried to make the IT Crowd. They made a pilot for it, but it didn't
oh yeah.
pick it up. But it was Joel McHale was going to play one of the
The Chris O'Dowd
he was going to
guy
play the Chris
probably.
O'Dowd character. And Iadaway was it Richard
Richard Ayoade. Yeah.
Iowata was going to play himself. So
Oh,
that
he was
character
gonna be
was
in
going to stay the
both.
same, but it was basically just replacing Chris O'Dowd with Joel McHale. I think the
Oh.
pilot's out there somewhere. Like I think you can find it.
Okay.
Like recently there was Ghosts has been
But
made
Ghost
in
has
the
been remade. Yeah,
US.
yeah. I think that's supposed to be pretty good. I haven't
Like
seen
I've actually seen both series,
it.
and they're both entertaining. But I prefer the British one though. I think for
Hmm.
the two, they're both entertaining though. I like the characters in the British one. I think are a little more amusing to me, at least anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I should check that out.
But on a more obscure show note that I think you and I both watched because I watched it because you suggested to me, Friday Night Dinner
Yes.
is being ported to the US as Dinner with the Parents. And I believe it's debuting, I think next week, maybe within the next week or so. Dinner with the Parents.
I
Dan Bacadol is going to be the father character.
I'm looking it up right now. Michaela Watkins is gonna be
Michaela Watkins,
John Glazer, who was he was the dentist in Parks and Recreation.
Carol
What was
Kane is going to be the mother, the grandmother.
Jam? Dentist, yeah. The Councilman Jam.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Carol Kane, she's really usually pretty funny.
yeah.
Uh, Dinner with the
April
Parents.
April 18th is just 2 days from now. Thursday will be the premiere of Dinner with the Parents. Friday night dinner, though, I believe is one of your hidden gems that you found.
It was a great show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the guy who played the father died, so they can't do it anymore. But the
Hmm.
first few seasons of that are really good. The ones with Mr. Morris are my favorite. The the love interest of one of the grandmothers. And then fortunately, when Mr. Morris yeah, when he's at the bowling, he takes his shirt off and fights a lot. Yeah, he's my
Right.
he's my favorite of those characters. But yeah, it's a good show. It's really funny. I thought it was really funny. So um, it seems like something that's not that hard to do, but it'll be, that was so well written. Each episode was kind of like a play in some ways. So it was,
Basically.
um, yeah, maybe
Had you
uh,
heard about that one, or was this breaking news for you?
this was breaking. I had heard they had been trying to make this before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like there had been like a um pilot or something or a version of it like 5 years ago or something, and maybe it didn't happen.
Ah,
So I hadn't heard of this. I hadn't heard they're actually doing it. So that could be fun.
Dan Bacadel is usually pretty amusing in things, what I've seen him in, at least anyway. Have you seen him in anything? Do you know?
Not that I know of. I don't. Uh, yeah. I don't. Not. No. I don't. I don't recognize the name. Dan Beckedel. Oh, he looks familiar. He looks familiar.
He's been
It,
in a lot of things. He was in a lot of Veep.
Veep. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I recognize him. I didn't know
He
his
was
name.
one of like the consultants or no, I can't remember. He was somebody's assistant or something that would show up. But he was also it was like a show with an Australian comedian as the lead. That was pretty good. But I'm not seeing that one on here. Where is that?
He has voice in Puppy Dog Pals, but
Probably was not what I'm looking for.
we've we've really scraped the bottom of the barrel today. We're really
Oh,
reaching
Legit was the name of the show.
legit. Legit. No, I never saw that, but
Yeah.
there's not hasn't been a lot of sports news going on. Um, but hopefully hopefully the we have the NFL draft coming up in a week or so from the time this episode will air. Do you want to talk about the draft any, or enlighten our listeners, viewers, what we're gonna do? What your power hour is going to do with the draft?
Yeah. So last year we kind of tried something. We pulled like data from all of the mock drafts, and we each made our own mock draft, and then we wanted to see how we would do compared to the experts in the field. And we did all right. The drafts tend to be really trade heavy, which we can't
Yeah,
predict. So, but neither can the draft experts either.
yeah,
So
they do sometimes predict some trades, but those trades they predict are almost always wrong. It's a little like predicting the
yeah,
upsets in the NCAA tournament.
right.
Uh, if you predict the upset, you're probably gonna be wrong on it. You're gonna miss and you're gonna miss the teams that you didn't pick the upset, and you're gonna get so you missed if you pick one upset out of two, if there's two games, you'll end up missing both games because the other game will have an upset. So
And it may throw off, and when you're doing drafts, it may throw off other things too. So like,
yeah.
it really goes very differently
This
at any variation point.
This draft
So
seems a little more certain in some ways than last season, simply because Caleb Williams is going to be the number one pick. And I think even going into last year's draft, people thought that Bryce Young will probably be number one, but then the number two, they thought maybe CJ Stroud could still sneak in as number one.
mhm.
Will Levis even, and you know, Stroud goes pick number two, but then Levis was waited all the way to the second round. So I don't think that's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks taken early, and it's a big wide receiver draft.
Mhm.
Offensive tackles, I think, are big. A lot of those this year. There aren't a lot of pass rushers like there have been in previous drafts, so maybe that will be a premium. So I think this is something that, yeah, maybe we'll be able to predict a little better this go round than
Well,
last.
you think we'll be anywhere close to what the experts are in
Well,
this?
I
Think we can challenge anybody?
think we can. I think in some ways our draft is reliant upon some of those expert drafts anyway. So we're gonna look at several of them and see. But I think the trades are gonna mess everything up, and it's not gonna.
Right.
So we had a point system that sort of worked last year. We had the correct team and correct player. Then also we had correct position team, correct and
Yeah, so if like a team had a certain need and they picked that
yeah.
need, and that was like, yes, like
Yeah.
a minor victory, but
Yeah, well, so we'll include that. So, all right, we'll talk about the draft a little bit more next week, and then we'll have that analyzed in 2 weeks when it's all over. But and we'll also the next couple of weeks we'll talk more and more about the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs, which are the seasons are just wrapping up. They've finally figured out some of the most of the teams who are going to be in the field at the end. One game going on was the Lakers Pelicans. Did that game go to a final?
the Lakers did win the first round of the play-in tournament, so
They became the seventh seed,
they were the eight. It looks like the Pelicans are playing at home, so they must have been the eight in the eight position. Pelicans in the seven. The Lakers have won, so now they are the seven seed.
and they're going to be playing Denver, though, as number two in the West, which is probably a tougher matchup than Oklahoma City uh, would be. And it
So New
looks like
Orleans now will have another shot at getting the eighth seed, like the winner of the
the winner of the 9-10. Do you think in this like Boston seems like the big favorite, but Boston has kind of collapsed in the playoffs the last several years, even though they've had good teams. we'll talk maybe next week. This is going to be Boston's year finally to break through in the uh, NBA. Also, Boston is one of the top teams in the NHL. I think they're number one seed on the in the NHL standings as well in the Eastern Conference. So um,
They just so far outpaced the Knicks. They had 14 games on the 2 seed.
it was like Boston became the number is was not the number one seed this year
Oh, in the NHL.
in the NHL. Yeah, they uh, didn't have a great end of their season. So, but they're still finished top four. So they're number four seed.
Oh wow, they did slip back.
But only a few points behind. The Rangers are the number one seed this year in the East. And
Oh yeah, they do like a different seeding though, don't they? They play their divisions first, and
yeah, they
then
kind of battle. It's a division battle, but it's like but the wild card teams are involved too. So it's kind of a weird
mm,
crossover sometimes. Uh, so the Washington Capitals grabbed the eighth seed this time. And
your Washington Capitals.
my Washington Capitals. I've become a Pittsburgh fan in the for baseball and uh because mainly, but and I guess maybe I'm not a Steelers fan, but because I'm a Chiefs fan, but I don't mind the Steelers. I say I was an anti-Penguins person because I was a Capitals fan before, so I'm not quite sure where I stand on the Penguins, but Penguins are out of the playoffs this year, so the Capitals, who had a strong had a strong end of the season from Alex Ovechkin, who's maybe able to challenge Gretzky's goal scoring record if he has another big year next year, but certainly in 2 years, he will, if he's still around, will probably pass the Great Ones record. Um, the Capitals sneaked into that last eighth playoff spot this time, but so we'll also talk about the NHL. I don't know as much about the NHL as I do. Well, I don't know. I haven't followed the NBA very much either. So we'll see if our predictions are better for the NFL, NHL or the NBA, and maybe we can make some bets and see how we do and see how things turn out.
And
Um,
hopefully the Royals are still rolling.
and the Royals are still hopefully still rolling by that point. And yeah, by the time the NHL and NFL playoffs, NHL and NBA playoffs get done, it's going to be June. So we'll really see what the Royals are doing by that point, and then we'll also see what the Chiefs are up to because they'll their draft, and we'll see what shakes out with the Rashee Rice story, and if the Chiefs not only draft some more players, if they pick up any more free agents to fill in some of those gaps. We'll find out. It looks like probably the Chiefs probably won't uh, add any free agents until after the draft is over, just to kind of see what they can get in the draft. So we're still kind of in a holding pattern for the NFL, but um, the next couple of weeks will be interesting on the Warning Track Power. We encourage you to tune in, and we thank you for tuning in this week. Should we wrap this one up, Dr. Scaff?
I think so.
Well, we hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next time. As always, I am Dr. Michael Warman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Warning Track Power Hour. Please like and or subscribe to our podcast or our YouTube channel. And until next time, we bid you good day.